That's all I'll say about that.
He's like, yeah, brother, yeah. He's like, all the Hulkamaniacs running. I'm like, that's gonna be crazy to hear him do that. I have to see that.
Jeez. We're live now, Tommy.
All right, everyone, chill.
All right, guys. Welcome to Nerds on Ice. I'm your host, Shield Director Chris Fury. Nerds on Ice is a show where we discuss geek pop culture sprinkled with a little bit of social commentary. And with us tonight is our four esteemed guests. First up is Venchise, one half of the husband and wife cosplay duo deemed Mixed Madness Cosplay, having won Best Group Duo at multiple conventions with their 17th century gender swap Joker and Harley Quinn. You can check out her work on Instagram on Mixed Madness Cosplay. Next up is Douglas F. Bradley II, an award-winning stage actor and director in Cleveland. He also serves as an artistic director for the Mighty Goliath Productions in Avon Lake. Outside of theater, the father of three counts himself as the nerdiest dads out there. Next up is Mr. Deacon, a former USMC and U.S. Army vet and graduate of OMS, host of Mr. Deacon Experience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. You can follow him on Instagram at the Mr. Deacon Experience. And lastly, we have Crazy 8 the Great, an award-winning lyricist and anti-bullying activist and only moral MC to master Ultra Instinct. Crazy 8 the Great is on all social media platforms, and his album can be pre-ordered on 7/21/20, which is his birthday. So happy birthday, we don't catch up. And every person that pre-orders will get an exclusive song. He also is doing a prize giveaway for 3 of those lucky people who do pre-order. The album drops on 8/8/20. So thank you all for coming on to the pilot episode of Nerds on Ice. How's it going, everybody?
Fantastic.
Doing well.
Gangsta, baby.
So tonight's conversation is big on everybody's lips. It is about the actress who should play Storm, and is going to segue into who should play Storm. How should she be brought into the MCU? And obviously light skin, dark skin, that's always seemed to have been an issue in the past, and we're going to try to get that in as well. So right now we have 15 actresses, well actually 16 now, actresses who have been thought of or have thrown their hat into the ring for playing Storm. So I'm going to run down the list, and well, not first, but we're going to start at 15. Freema Agyeman, who you probably know as one of the other half of Doctor Who, playing alongside David Tennant. She's a cutie. She played Martha Jones. She was the doctor. She was also the doctor on Doctor Who, I should say. Ruth Negga, who you've last seen on the TV show Preacher. We have Kerry Washington coming in at 13. Keke Palmer, Tandy Newton, Sonequa Martin Green from Walking Dead, Janelle Monáe, Rosario Dawson, DeWanda Wise, who's actually one of my favorite picks, Sadale Noel from Netflix Glow, Gugu Mbatha Raw, who was also on Doctor Who, as well as the film Fast Color. I can't believe I'm actually mentioning this one, but okay. Beyonce Knowles. We're not gonna go there.
I ain't thinking about you. I ain't sorry.
Naomi Harris, who was last seen in Skyfall, Zoe Kravitz, and number 1 Kiki Lane from If Beale Street Could Talk. So, also the last one to actually throw her, well, she's shown interest in throwing her hat in the ring, is Yetide Daki, who was playing the African goddess, Bilquis on American Gods. So she's also on my list. So what do you guys think?
She's on my list as well.
She's definitely on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the women whose names you read off are so young. And if they're trying to tie it into Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman is in his 40s. So, like, I feel like
just
you
doesn't
need
look it. That's that Wakandan juice there, you know.
But it is funny. I look at some of the ages of them. I'm like, they're older than they look, but you know, they're blessed. Blessed with that skin. So.
I think that's the most important piece, though, coming into the conversation is how old is she going to be when they introduce her, right? Like when you're talking about who's going to play the role, I personally love Tandy Newton. I think she'd be incredible. She's probably I think the oldest on that list or close to it. Mm-hmm. So if they're bringing in Storm as leader of X-Men Gold Team, then yeah, Tandy Newton all day. But if they're bringing her in to be young Queen of Wakanda with T'Challa, then it's a different story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think part of it too is they like Storm is like 6 feet tall or 5'11", 6 feet. So you need an actress who can't just play tough, but looks like a literal goddess. And, so if you have someone who's 5 feet tall playing the role, it's like, so you need someone who can be physically imposing as well as like act the role. Mm-hmm. So I think that's another thing too, is finding someone who just exudes absolute strength and power.
Okay, I can agree on that, but they can go back and do the same thing they did with the Hobbits, the same technology they did. You could come in 4'9", and I'll make you look 7. They could do the same technology they did in that movie. With, you know what I'm saying, with Lord of the Rings, the same thing. So I'm gonna throw somebody in the hat. I was thinking about Issa Rae from Insecure.
Nice, that's a nice. And you got to think as far as height. Storm is kind of a fashionista, so she wears high heel boots anyway. So
no doubt. So you can do what Prince did for years. So it just, they are great. But I will say this: I do believe I got to think about artistic and creative activity when it comes to what I created. If I created something, I wanted to stay close to that. Me personally, I honestly think that Stan Lee might be rolling over in his grave. That's just me. Because if I created something and it took me years to create, I would be upset about certain things. I created this character. That's the way I would like the character to be. If that character got changed, I would be upset because I feel like the integrity of my creativity, you compromised it. Certain characters are made to be certain people. And if it's Storm is a chocolate sister, and I want a chocolate sister to play it. That's just how I feel. If, like when they did that Fantastic Four when Michael B. Jordan played Johnny Storm, I was like, that's not going to work. It's not to be racial or anything like that. It's just certain characters. If you wanted that character to be that way, then you should have made him that way. But it's not. It's this way. So I want to ride with that and honor Stan Lee with his creativity and keep that character. I need a chocolate sister. So I need Janelle Monáe. I need Issa Rae and a couple of old girl you said from American Gods. I need that person to be that way. And if I got to put 6-inch stilettos on her, it is what it is. So I'm going to let somebody else say something.
No, I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I guess since, I guess we ain't talking about who should have played her back in the day, but I would have to go with old girl from American Gods, man. Basically because she already played a godly deity already, you know what I'm saying? She has, she could do the dialect, she could, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can keep it authentic. Or we can go with a no-name person who's of African descent that, got some acting chops and could pull it off that way. Like, actually, like, we don't always got to cast some ultra famous somebody or something like that. Like, give somebody new a chance to like step into that and be identified as that character. Like, there was no Harry Potter before Daniel Radcliffe, but you knew he was born to be Harry Potter. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
right. How
about we go that route for a change?
Now, that's my stance. Now, Deacon, you mentioned she has to be a chocolate. Storm is a chocolate sister. She is.
Exactly.
So you want the actress to be a chocolate sister. So that leads to that other part of it, the light skin and the dark skin. Now, we've already had Storm in 2 iterations. And you had Halle Berry, and then you had the other actress. Her name's Alexandria Shipp. That's her name.
Yeah.
I did not agree. I did not agree.
Honestly,
not at all.
They gave Halle a really bad wig.
Oh God, the wig.
And they never got it right.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who is biracial, when I was younger, I was like, hey, that looks like me. And it was really cool. But I also was so young that I didn't understand or recognize the fact that colorism exists, especially because when white people look at me or my mom, who is like Wesley Snipes dark, like they see us both as Black women. But I didn't understand at the time that they're even within that spectrum, though, I'm treated differently because how light my skin is compared to someone else. And so having someone who is a dark-skinned Black woman, they're going to have a very different experience than someone who looks like me. So even though that collective experience of being Black is the same, even within that, it can be different. And Storm being African, like she needs to look like she is from Africa. You know, yes, she was born in, I think, the Bronx, but like she grew up in Egypt and was of Nigerian parentage,
exactly.
I believe.
Nigerian royalty, actually.
Right. So there wasn't a white father or anything like that. She wasn't biracial. She was all Black. So I think that is an important distinction to make. So I would be very disappointed if, again, they went with someone who was biracial personally or someone who was of light skin, just because it doesn't make sense for the role. And like, I get at the time, Halle Berry was the Black actress. Like, you wanted a Black actress, you got Halle Berry. Right. And unfortunately for her, not only was I think she miscast, but they did not do that character justice in any way that you could like overlook it. It's like, oh, can you give her at least a good wig? Can you have her have an accent? Anything.
Worst one-liner in movie history, I swear.
The same thing that
happens. And I love Halle Berry, but that was the worst one-liner.
Oh. And then they tried to like have her have an accent at one point, and then she forgot it. Like,
yeah,
you remember that?
She totally threw that right out the window.
Yeah,
and hang on to the accent.
She was so sidelined. It was like, all right, once in a movie, we're gonna have her float, do some lightning,
right,
and then 3 other lines, and that's it. And it's like, do you realize who this is?
That's, I think, going back to the list, the name that stood out to me a little bit too was Sidel Noel, and I think she fits, like, she checks a lot of those boxes, right? Like, she's physically imposing. If you've watched Glow, like, she has the acting chops to match anybody in Hollywood. I'm surprised she's not a more known commodity, but to that extent, I think it's cool that you could have kind of a fresh face and someone who, the fact that Beyonce's on the list makes me want to hurl. There's no offense to Beyonce. She's incredibly talented, but like, she doesn't need to be an X-Man. She doesn't need to be Storm. She's Beyonce. I couldn't watch Beyonce as Storm and say, oh, I'm watching Storm. No, I'm watching Beyonce play Storm.
Beyonce could be Dazzler and I'd be fine with that. She's a singer. You can play that role.
Yeah,
Stay in your lane.
But see, then you would be changing the character again. So now you got to deal with that. So I know, like I said, Beyonce is multi-talented. It just, when I heard about that, I was like, no.
I honestly, I think that deal is more of a musical aspect. She might have a part, who knows,
or she's just using her power as far as entertainment to push her way into something.
Exactly.
That's not always the best. Well, Beyonce plays it, we'll get all these people in the theater, and to the true comic book fan, you're gonna be upset. You're gonna be pissed. Like, why? So it is what it is,
I think there's a lot of fear still with movies that are either female or minority led, that if you don't have a big name playing that character, or if they aren't like saddled with another big name actor, that it's not going to sell, and you're not giving enough credit to the people who for years want to see Storm amazingly represented on screens. Like, those seats will be filled as long as the person you cast is, looks the part and can act the part and the story is good. The name is almost second to that, because you can cast the biggest star in the world, but if I don't like them or don't like what you're doing with it, I'm going to be less excited to see it. Like, I had never heard of Chadwick Boseman before Black Panther, but I was like, I don't care who it is, I'm going to go see it.
Right.
I think that's an interesting point too, just about the character as a whole. For so long she's been a part of an ensemble, at least in terms of film, with the X-Men, and now potentially introducing her into Black Panther. Not that she couldn't be super relevant in that story, but like, she's got enough gusto in her story arc throughout, Storm's entire growth, whether it be the trauma of her parents dying and her growing up on the streets of Egypt. Like, there's great story there. She could easily have her own standalone, which of course, you know, the MCU said they're probably not going to be jumping into X-Men or Fantastic Four properties for the next 5 years or whatever, unless maybe they're tying it into something else that they're already doing.
So speaking of tying in, there's been word that if anyone remembers the scene from Endgame, when Steve Rogers goes back in time and he sees Peggy Carter, there's some conversation being had. And she says that Braddock's team has encountered some lightning. And Peggy Carter says she'll check the weather projections.
Mm-hmm.
So there's word of possibly maybe this might be the entrance that they're looking for Storm herself. Is this a good way for the X-Men to get brought into the universe? Crazy 8 the Great, since I got you on the screen.
I feel like, if they gave each individual X-Men their own entrance to the MCU before just introducing them as an ensemble, I think it'd be much better. Like, if some kind of Hulk story gives us Wolverine's origin, like it did in the comics, like, you know what I'm saying, like to bring them in like that. So I feel like, yeah, I'm on board with giving them their own shine before they're in an ensemble. You know what I'm saying? So let's go with that. I ship that.
Do you think it's going too fast to bring Storm in that fast, or bring the X-Men in that fast? Because the first rumor that was coming out was bringing Prince Namor, the Submariner,
right,
as the next big bad. You know,
yeah, right.
So,
is the question like, is it happening too soon if we do it that way, or
yeah?
Nah, I feel like you can breadcrumb us into a larger X-Men ensemble through whatever Marvel Phase 4 and 5 is.
So similar to what they did with Phil Coulson bringing in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay.
Right. I'm good with that. I feel like we have enough time, and it's still a cooling off period because that Dark Phoenix was so trash. So
bad.
Oh god.
Oh bad.
Although the train scene was badass. The train scene was badass. I'll give him that.
I forgot I was watching that movie in the middle of watching it.
And,
like I zoned out so bad and looked back at my iPad. I was like, oh, is that still on? So
yeah, and the train scene is only badass because of Magneto and surprisingly Nightcrawler.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, let's breadcrumb a larger X-Men ensemble through whatever the next 2 phases of Marvel MCU movies is going to be, and it's going to be dope.
Yeah, Doug, what you think?
So X-Men's my favorite Marvel property. Like, hands down, it's the one I grew up obsessing over, collected comic books for, etc. And like the X-Men fan of me is like, I don't care. Give me an X-Men movie now that erases everything that Fox did because they were terrible. They weren't all terrible, but any movie that makes X3 X-Men United look okay is an awful movie. And the last 2 installments were that. But to the same point, like, I understand they can't just, blow everything out in one big go. I love the idea of the breadcrumbs. Introduce each character, different franchise, bring them together around Charles Xavier, like let it happen organically. Don't force it, because I think that's also the issue Fox ran into, is they forced everything. And even when they introduced great characters like Nightcrawler, they just didn't do it well.
I'm not familiar with where it stands now, but I remember when they brought in Wanda Maximoff and Quicksilver into the Marvel universe. Wasn't there some sort of arrangement between Marvel and Fox that they could have the characters, but they couldn't say they were mutants or use certain nicknames?
Yeah. There was a mutant clause, as they called it.
Is that still how that would work? Or they can be like, you can use Storm, you just can't call her a mutant. You can't call her like. How would that work across the 2 different companies? Is what I'm curious about.
Well, since Disney pretty much strong-armed Fox, they did the move we all wanted. They managed to get they own everyone except Spider-Man, and they have a deal with, and they actually have a deal with Sony. And I think if the mouse wanted to, he could probably take that one. So, but he's just like, I'm gonna play nice with this one. But Yeah, Fox just has they have no say in it right now. Like they own nothing. They own no Punisher,
Good.
no Daredevil, none of them. They own nothing that belongs to Marvel anymore.
Which only sucks because that means we lose Evan Peters as Quicksilver, and
Yes.
he was
yeah.
the only thing that saved most of those X-Men movies. He was so good.
Who would have thought that was the shining moment? That
Right.
wow, that was really freaky. Yeah,
I got a question too.
Take a role into Evan Peters supposed to take a role in WandaVision.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we don't know how that's going to work, but.
Wouldn't it be funny if he was the Quicksilver in the WandaVision 6? They brought him in and were like, hey, you did such a great job. Not only is Ryan Reynolds keeping his job, but so are you.
Right.
Now, these are supposed to be two different Earths. I could have sworn that they were saying that. Where the X-Men are in this Earth and then the Avengers are. So where's the transgression? Where is the transition, between if you got this Earth and this X-Men? That's what I was told. They're not the same Earth of Marvel in the MCU.
Well,
so,
here's a play on words. What did Tony Stark say in Endgame?
Oh, Lord.
When he snapped his fingers, his whole thing was bring everybody back. At the time, we're thinking, and this is just a theory, we're thinking everybody that died in Infinity War. Maybe.
Did they show you Wolverine get turned to dust? Did they show you Professor X get turned to... I'm just saying, you can do a lot of things with a lot of stuff. I get it. But some things I'll be like, man, stop the madness. I'm just saying.
I think to your point, though, like even Fahey's come out and said something about they're introducing the multiverse in a more tangible capacity, right? Like the idea that maybe it's in the Doctor Strange, the next Doctor Strange movie. Okay. They're going to focus a lot on parallel universes. So there's an opportunity there to cross over, even if you are talking about the X-Men being in one universe and the Avengers being in another.
Also, too, with the Eternals being introduced, that does, introduce the deviant gene, which is supposed to, spawn the X gene, which then is, mutants or whatever. So they can toss it up. Yeah,
so what do you think the dynamic should be between Storm and T'Challa when she is introduced? Should it be an old girlfriend or should it be someone new that he's come across, since Nakia has not exactly accepted him? Because let's face it, if you're a fan of Black Panther, Nakia really ends up becoming the crazy ex-girlfriend anyway. Mm-hmm. So
I think a little bit of both. A little bit of both. You got to keep that intrigue in there. A little bit of both, and I would be cool with that. So I mean, if you remember, BET did Black Panther back in the day, and old boy from I can't think of his name right now. He voiced Black Panther. If you remember, Black Panther
he was in Captain Marvel and as well as Guardians. I know you talk about.
So and the singer Jill Scott was actually Storm.
Yes, she was.
So that I like the way they brought that in. She made the phone call. What you doing? I've been looking for her for years, and I think to reintroduce that old love interest might bring a little bit more intrigue to it. They could try that route. We'll see. I don't think Jill Scott's playing Storm though. I'm gonna tell you that though.
No. So what are your takes on Janelle Monáe playing Storm now? I've seen a mock photo of T'Challa and Janelle Monáe, and she's in the Punk Storm look. She's wearing the Punk Storm, which whoever mocked that photo looked fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike her. It's the weirdest thing, but like her overall face shape is just not what I pictured in my own head. Mm-hmm. When I pictured Storm, I just pictured a woman with much stronger features than she has. That's just personal preference. Like that's pretty much my only complaint against her. And she is 5 feet tall, but as you said, we can hobbit her and put her in some platform heels, give her a box to stand on. But that's my overall thing, is like I just don't find her imposing enough.
She need a chisel-like jaw. You want to chisel her jaw? What does she need? A couple facial hairs or something?
I don't know.
What does she need?
there's just something about it. Like, I think she is absolutely gorgeous, and it's the weirdest thing, but I look at her, I'm like, she's just not who in my head I like connect to the images I see of the cartoon of Storm. I think she would look great as Storm, but it's just like this, it's very close. It's like just missing for me. I don't know, can't put my finger directly on it, but I wouldn't be upset if she got it. But I think see more of her acting. Yeah.
Like, I think I would be more on board if I saw more of her work as an actress. Like, I love her, you know, some musically and things like that. She's cool for sure. But I need to see what she's done.
Yeah, she's already trying to make her way into the acting world.
Right.
She has 2 films. One's a show, and I think she has a film that's coming out. So I think
something
it's
horror related.
Yeah, and you know, she has a good look. Don't get me wrong. Right. I think it's just acting wise is finding out where she stands. She has a look. That's a given. But just trying to find out acting wise where she stands on that aspect is something that everybody wants to look at. Another issue they did that they always had in the past with Storm is they really did kind of strip her of her essence. You know, when I read anything that has Storm involved, whether it's an X-Men, whether it's a solo book, whether it's in Black Panther, she always has this, and she is of royalty, but she carries herself, even in the cartoon, she carries herself with this regalness. So I think, honestly, Angela Bassett.
Thank you.
She was actually up for the role.
Well, she's a little old now, you know.
She was up for the role against Halle Berry, I read. Like, Angela Bassett was considered at the time when they did the first X-Men, and it infamously went to Halle Berry.
She should have been the only person to play Storm, in my opinion.
She has this very, because Angela Bassett has this very strong, outstanding presence. You know, she's ripped, she's fine. Yeah,
that would have worked. That would have worked about 20 years ago.
If you think about the voice actors that did Storm in the animated series, Angela Bassett is like the closest to almost show accurate depiction.
I love how when Black Panther was just coming out and they were showing like the still images and they show Angela Bassett with the white cornrow braids and everybody was like, is that Storm? I'm like, it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
Well, and not to shove a square peg in a round hole or to be a broken record, but when I watch Sidel Noel, I get real strong Angela Bassett vibes. Like, she's just got that
meat.
Yeah, she's just kind of, especially, I don't know if you've watched Glow, viewers at home, if you've watched Glow, if you haven't, do it, it's great. But like, she's so far above everyone else, and it's not even on purpose, right? Like, it's her essence, right, to that extent about Storm, as you brought up before.
So we're coming up on time. That sucks. But it's going to be interesting that whenever all of this COVID blows over and we can get to normalcy of, you know, seeing films, hopefully this does not, we still have a good, 2 years before we even see a Black Panther sequel. We still have time. Already the scheduling for Marvel films have already been pushed back. You know, we normally would have already seen Black Widow. We would have been waiting on the Eternals at this point. So everything's got pushed back. You know, Falcon and Winter Soldier, obviously I wasn't surprised that they're not coming out next month. I'm not surprised by that. You know, they just picked up production. I know they're not finished. I was already expecting a fall premiere anyway, which is right around the time I do believe that WandaVision is coming out. So, hey, you know, push it back. We get just as much Marvel in 1 month, because there's going to be a year, if I remember the slate correctly, it's going to be a year where there's at least 5 Marvel films dropping in 1 year, which means, you know, that's another $1 billion year for Disney, you know, so we'll see. But guys, I do truly enjoy talking about the goddess,
Yes.
as I've known her to be.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
I will not call her by any other name. I've read her in the latest Black Panther book, and she's always struck me as, no matter how much T'Challa protects her, he knows he can leave her on the field and she can handle anything else that's coming her way.
Right.
But he still wants to protect her, but he's just like, aren't you going to save her? Oh no, she's got this. Trust me.
Now I must say that she did have a little short relationship with Logan, and she did have a short relationship with Forge. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
And they're not Black.
No, they're not.
So
he's more forgiving of Forge, but he can't stand Logan.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's like, I smell him on you. Like, he literally is like, I smell him on. Like, you've been around. Like, they don't have exactly the best of relationships, and they know it. They both know it, But neither one of them, they're not going to come to blows as much as they want to. But they're like, whatever.
Hey, man, Forge will make something out of this world.
Yeah.
For real. He was that dude. He was an underrated X-Men.
Yeah, he really is underrated. He really is underrated. I would like to see what they do with that, going forward with the new acquisition of all their characters coming back to Marvel and seeing more what they have to go on. I would absolutely love to see what they have planned. So, but unfortunately, guys, this is the end of this show.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We need more time.
Right.
But I want to thank everybody out for coming out to the Nerds on Ice pilot. We're gonna have more. We're gonna have some of you guys coming back. Thank you, Venchise. Thank you, Crazy 8 the Great. Thank you, Mr. Deacon, and thank you, Doug Bradley. Doug Bailey.
No problem.
That's right. Doug Bailey. Thank you for talking to me today. I'm your host, Chris Fury, for Nerds on Ice. Tune in next week. We have something more crazy to talk about. We'll have some more great guests coming on. And until then, I'm your director for S.H.I.E.L.D., Chris Fury. Out.